Hello everyone. I would like to welcome you all to the Entrepreneurship Development Cell's very own podcast series, Charcha. And I am pleased to introduce our guest for today, Mr. Akshar Vastarpara. Akshar sir is the founder and CEO of Vicharak, a leading company in reconfigurable computing based in Surat, India. His journey from software graduate to hardware innovator is very inspiring. Under his leadership, Vicharak has grown significantly, recently securing an investment of 1 crore rupees, valuing the company at 100 crores. Today, we'll dive into his entrepreneurial journey, the challenges he's faced, and the innovations his company is pioneering. So, Akshar sir, before we begin, is there something you would like to say about Vicharak and yourself?
Yeah, so hi all, this is Akshar and I am the founder and CEO of Vicharak. You have heard about Vicharak is whatever we are trying to do is something relates to a computing. So Vicharak end goal is key will be manufacturing and designing our own computers. But our real aspect of innovation is key we are figuring out a very different way of doing compute rather than just on top of CPU or GPU or any kind of ASIC.
Right.
On top of FPGAs, and it has to do with this reconfigurable computing concept, and we are trying to pioneer the whole field of it. And so end goal is key. Our computers will have this reconfigurable computing technology invented by us, and which will make us faster compared to everybody else.
Right, sir. So, as everybody knows, you've graduated in information technology. So, can you tell us about your journey from software to hardware and what inspired this transition?
Yeah, so it wasn't just a journey about moving from software to hardware. It was journey about finding an interest and let's say an excitement about the stuff or the passion that you have about learning things. And that was, I think, I had it about the hardware from a software. So I started as a software and I graduated as a software engineer.
Right.
But I did web front end and back end and these web technologies and all kind of desktop softwares as well. I written softwares of it, but there wasn't any enough excitement of it. So I had to figure something out which really is exciting me, and it has to do more with the physical aspect of the engineering, and that's when I learned about this electronics and this cooler IoT projects and all kind of stuff. So I ordered few ESP8266 development kit and this Raspberry Pi.
Right.
And I started developing projects on top of it, and that's when I figured out I wanted to really do not only a software but hardware as well.
Right, sir. So, as you're from a software background, what challenges did you face when acquiring knowledge and skills in the hardware field, and how did you acquire this knowledge?
So, acquiring a knowledge is very simpler. You don't need a very huge resources and you don't need to pay anything else to acquire the knowledge. Thing about hardware is you'll have to try hardware and you'll have to go through iterations.
Right.
It can only come with the practicality of it. So when you are dealing with the hardware, you'll have to try and try. It's very easier, but at least you have to have an experience on top of the hardware field of it. So you gain only an experience and knowledge through various iterations.
Right.
It's always about a try and develop, and if you fail, you'll have to figure something out. That's it.
Right. And you've already spoken about how AI chip development is difficult, and you're working on up to 20 layer architectures at Vicharak. So there are a lot of doubts and concerns about AI chip development in India. A lot of people say it is simply not feasible or possible. So how do you deal with these concerns, and do they affect you in any way?
Yeah, so dealing anything in India related to hardware is extremely problematic as of now. But I still think of it in a manner that doesn't affect you the way it should be. It's not something very impossible. It's quite challenging and problematic. But I think we are very less problematic compared to 30 years of our previous generations, where they didn't have any knowledge and where they didn't have any access of it.
Right.
So we are it's very easy to get things done through internet and through these tools. You can get any components through online stores and you can build any circuits, and only thing is to you just have to try. So I don't think it's impossible, and it's much challenging. It's quite bit of challenging, but it's not very difficult.
Right. So we are living in the information age, and we can completely make use of whatever is available online.
Yes, it's always about you should try about it.
It's about what you want to do, basically,
Yes.
and you can do it if you want to do it.
Yes.
So, what motivated you to start Vicharak? Like, was there any specific vision behind it?
So I think real motivation is key whenever you are trying to come up with a product. You imagine certain realities how your products would affect the world, or what areas you really want to revolve when you are dealing in a technology startup. So it's always about I see in a manner ki how the things that I'm going to build will affect certain amount of people,
Right.
and how greatly I can come up with technologies which really interests me, and I can build something very cool stuff.
Right. So usually it is said that when you're building a startup, it's good if you are able to identify a problem that a niche of people is having, like a common problem that many people are having. And if you are able to offer a solution to that problem, then your startup can do very well. So were you able to identify such a problem?
Yes, I don't think that you have to identify a problem to become a startup. So
Right.
that is what if you are solving certain problems, that's well and good, but it's necessarily doesn't have to become a problem, because I think whenever you're dealing in a technology, the technology is superior of everybody else.
Right.
So if you are figuring out a technology which is very low cost effective, which is faster and efficient, which can do much more things, and even you are not solving the current problem, but if you are offering a superior technology,
Right.
if you are coming up with better engineering solutions, it will scale eventually. It's not always about solving a problem, but it's definitely is about figuring out right technologies that you really want to do, and how you learn through it, how you are putting something new on top of it, and it should be very radical, and it should be very different from at least some part of the same offerings that everybody else is
Right.
doing. So it should be unique. That's what my proposal is all about. It should be unique.
So you find a gap in what somebody else is doing and you fill that gap basically.
Yeah, it's always about in what you are creating into users through engineering innovations. So when we talk about the engineering innovations, user doesn't know about what engineering technology you have established for them, because
Right.
you are the one who is inventing it.
Right.
So and engineering is very cool stuff. So it's always about what interests you about most of this hardware or computer or information technology, and you just keep going through it and learning, and then you'll figure something out.
Right, sir. So you've already shared how you've grown Vicharak from a one-person team to a startup with 40 people in 3 years. So can you share this story behind how you did this?
Yeah. So initially, I wanted to do a startup, a company, and I didn't know कि I wanted to do a startup in a software or a hardware field.
Right.
Let's say कि whenever I figured out कि I wanted to really do electronics, I just I rented an office, very smaller office, and I started learning electronics projects. I started with ESP 8266, as I did mention, but came up with three or four very smart home ideas back then in 2017.
Right.
Majorly, I tried to do a consultancy part of it.
Hmm.
I offered various solutions to a client, and that's how I survived. That's how I bootstrapped to a 30 people.
Right.
And my only goal was to build more complex and complex hardware yearly.
Right.
So my real goal was to learn about electronics. I should be able to mass produce the part of it, and I should be able to build more and more complex circuits and that kind of stuff.
So when you're onboarding more people, how important is it that the people you're onboarding share your vision? Because generally, like jobs in startups are
It's
dicey.
extremely, I think it's extremely necessary for me that they also see the same things about the projects that I'm seeing in the same manner. So it's extremely important that share my vision,
Right.
because for any people that I'm hiring, I go through the screening round by myself, and I
Okay.
explain themselves what I am going to do and what Vicharak stands for.
Right.
And I ask them that do you think it can be an exciting role for you, or it can be exciting something enough for you where you can provide your daily efforts. And yes, that is very important for me that they share the same vision as we do.
So you take a very involved approach to leadership, you would say.
I don't consider it as an ambition, but I consider it is that let's say कि if you are working anywhere, you don't know what your efforts will be converted into some kind of real products or some kind of other stuff,
Right.
and you are providing your 9 hours a day to some kind of company, you should figure out that what is you really want. So if you, the things that I'm going to build here, it's extremely complex and it requires very fascinating stuff. And
Right.
it requires very complex set of, let's say, engineering challenges as well. So no people who are interested enough into it can build the stuff that the way I want to build.
Right.
And
So
this isn't a single person team. I can't do this thing on my own. I
correct.
will definitely need a team very
Correct.
much bigger compared to even what 45 people that I have right now.
Right. So what strategies have you found effective in building and leading a successful team?
So I keep it very simple to my team that you find the people who are interested into a same problem, into same set of technologies. Maybe they share a different capabilities into engineering, but they are highly interested people into the problems and the things that you really are implementing, and they are quite curious enough to do some kind of explorations on their own, and they are extremely hardworking and they really value their work. So if you can pack this kind of people into a single room and you give a right platform and you
Right.
give a right set of challenges to work on, and they'll get you much more results than you will ever expect.
Right. So would you say it's very important to give your teammates some level of autonomy when working in the company? Like they can work on their own stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So now you've recently got an investment of 1 crore rupees and your company is valued at around 100 crore rupees. So can you tell us the process of securing this investment?
Yeah, so when you are starting a hardware startup, it's not as easier as to raise a fund into a software startup. In India, nobody cares about the hardware,
Right.
all of investors. So even we are raising funds through VCs and we are still trying to get them into our on board. But the fund that we have raised is from the family and friends from the angel investing now.
Right.
So it's kind of they knew us and that's how we have raised. But still, to raise a fund from a VC, it's extremely challenging in a hardware. It's not impossible, but
Hmm.
instead of just if you are just not from the IIT and well-known, let's say research institutes and some proven track records on the startup, it will be very hard to gain a fund into a hardware at least a deep startup.
Right. So when you're not from an IIT, it's very important to leverage your network, would you say?
Yeah, so IITians have a very good network. The alumni just stands for very valuable, let's say, profitable careers for you. So, but it's not impossible even if you are not in IIT and any other college that you won't be able to get it. It's still possible.
Right.
It's quite difficult, but it's not possible. It's not impossible.
So when it comes to networking, how did you go about making strategic partnerships with people?
So, I think we haven't gone through any strategic partnerships yet,
Right.
but I still figure out that if you are providing any value to any kind of team
Right.
or any kind of solution, then they'll be able to a very good strategic partnership. So it's always about the value of your solutions and your offerings.
Right, sir. So what have been some of the biggest obstacles that you face as an entrepreneur and how have you overcome them?
So for me, it's always about what kind of obstacles that you consider it's very big enough. So there is entrepreneur word is always an obstacle itself. There will be thousand challenges that you'll face into your startup, but it's always about what really affects you. So I don't think there are very big obstacles that can stop you from what you are doing.
Right.
But if you'll see in India for hardware and deep tech startup, the considerable obstacles can be to raising a fund for a because you don't get fund very easily
Right.
for a hardware, and without a fund you can't build a hardware startup. It's a chicken egg problem.
Hmm.
So most of the time you'll have to bootstrap on your own.
Okay. And coming to advice for aspiring entrepreneurs, what advice would you give to students and aspiring entrepreneurs who want to start their own ventures?
So the only advice I give to freshers and the one who came up from the college, if you really want to be an entrepreneur, start your journey now. There is a mindset of a people that they think they will require certain experience to establish a startup. I don't think that is necessary. If you really want to build a startup, start right now.
Right. So even people who are trying to build startups while they are currently in college, you would encourage that.
Yeah, you don't. It doesn't matter whether you are still doing a college or not doing a college or you are dropped out. Startup has nothing to do with your qualities or qualifications.
Right, sir. And just coming back to the team aspect for a bit, how important do you think it is to have a hierarchy in your company in the early stages of a startup?
So for me, I don't have hierarchies as of now. Even we have 55 people team, and we still don't have the hierarchy as we say.
Right.
And I think it doesn't matter if you have a hierarchy or not. Even Nvidia doesn't have the hierarchy that every organizations have.
Hmm.
So it's always about the way you organize your organizations where they can where can they evolve by themselves.
Right.
So it's always about right kind of people doing right kind of job altogether.
And when it comes to projects, how important do you think it is to spend time on documenting the initial idea versus actually working on it? Like, would you say you should just straight
I am
away?
very poor about documenting it first, so
Right.
I always believe in execution in first.
Straight
So
away
I don't
execution.
I'm not I don't even have a business plan.
Okay.
So, I don't think it matters for me at least, but for some of it changes from the idea to idea and startups to startups.
Right.
You can never be perfect in every field, right? If you are a founder and let's say if you're running an organization, you cannot be perfect for accounting or finance or management or technology. There are always some kind of loopholes that can come up into your organizations, but that's how you feel with the good people. That's how
Right.
you feel with the right people to do a right kind of job. But initially, I think the goal is to develop a product, to generate some kind of sales, and figure out a way where you can evolve into some complex organization,
Right.
and slowly you'll be filling the gaps that you left earlier.
Right, sir. So when building a tech startup, how important do you think it is to pivot, learn, and adapt in the field of technology and entrepreneurship?
I think learning should be most necessary. I really like to learn, even if I don't find particular subject inclined towards my startup.
Right.
And you can learn anything at any age. And I think learning should be there. Learning should be there at every kind of day. Even let's say if you are 60 years old, there are some things left that you will be able to learn.
Right.
Learning has no stop.
So, and I was mentioning pivoting. So, how important do you think it is to pivot in a startup? And when do you realize that a certain project is not working out and you should pivot your company in a different direction?
Yeah, pivoting is something that I don't know it's important or not, because it still changes based on the situations most of the time.
Right.
But I think you should know if you are working onto something, how greater it can turn around, or how valuable it is, or what is the effect it's going to have to our world.
Right.
So
So,
pivot or not, I don't know,
okay, sir.
because it changes from the solution to solutions.
Changes from company to company. Okay.
Yes.
So, what are your short term and long term goals for Vicharak?
A short-term goal of Vicharak is we are developing these AI engines on top of FPGAs.
Right.
Same with compilers and these architectures and the FPGA based IPs and the whole system of it, where you can accelerate AI on top of our Vicharak board.
Right.
And the long term goal is key. We are going to build computers which are much faster than every other companies.
Right. So, do you think there is a very bright future for reconfigurable computing in India?
I'm trying to come up with a technology that has to do with the computing.
Right.
So I don't know whether it has a bright future of within in India or not.
Right.
But we are the only one who is working on the reconfigurable computing as we say right now. There is no other startup working on and reconfigurable computing. It has a name.
Hmm.
There are certain research papers out it, but there is no technology that is using it.
Right.
So technically, we are the only one who is going to offer a future. So maybe if we succeed, then there is a future. Maybe if we fail, then there is a no future. That is the as simple as it is.
So, reconfigurable computing is a completely brand new field. So, you have a first mover's advantage of sorts.
Yeah, we are the one who is inventing it.
Right. So, do you think a first mover's advantage is very important? Or
I
you.
don't know. Yeah, because I don't know it can be an advantage or not.
Okay.
because I think it doesn't matter you are first or not. What it matters is who is the first one who has offered the right solutions to a right number of people with the
Right.
right skill. So there may be someone who had done this thing earlier than you, but if you haven't reached to them very wisely and you haven't provided the enough satisfactory solutions on top of whatever you are offering,
Right.
that doesn't matter you are a first or not. It has to be a right kind of solution.
So it doesn't matter if there's already a competitor in your field, as long
Yeah,
as
if you know that you can offer something much better than them, and you have a very nice set of technologies and you have a very innovative part of it, then it's fine.
right. So if you're able to find a gap in some current product out there today, you can definitely step into that industry.
Yeah, you should definitely able to try it.
Okay, sir. So coming to your personal growth, how do you stay motivated and inspired in your work?
Yeah, I don't know how I keep myself motivated or inspired, but I have certain goals, and I I did put no limitations to it. I'm not going to let's say finish until uh, I'm going to meet the stuff. I'm going to try and try, and there is no end for. So it's kind of all in nature. So you just go all in,
Right.
regardless of whatever is going to happen. So I believe in learning. So if I let's say at certain time if we are going to fail, the things that we are learning every day in Vicharak, it's extremely helpful.
Hmm.
So skill is mostly above than everybody else.
Right.
So either you'll let's say succeed or either you'll learn a skill. That's it.
So in the hardware field, as you know, there might be a lot of failures. So learning from failures is very important, right?
It's learning from failures rather than keep iterating about it. So
Keep
maybe
iterating.
you can learn the failures or not. It's always about you keep going, you keep iterating about it, you
Right.
figure out the ways. That's it.
You keep trying.
Yeah.
So personally, what are your thoughts on the current entrepreneurial ecosystem in India, especially in the tech and hardware sectors?
Yeah, I am very happy about the way things are moving. There are lots of cooler projects coming every day. There are lots of fascinating startups trying to do some very cooler stuff. So I think we have a very bright future into entrepreneurship in India. There
Okay,
is going
sir.
to be very cooler projects out there.
Right. And finally, how do you think aspiring entrepreneurs can leverage the resources and opportunities available in India in terms of
Yeah,
incubation?
there are thousands of incubation centers. Every college has their startup cell, and everybody is providing a funding. So I think starting a startup is not easy. Sorry, it's very easy as of now. Only scaling it and escalating it can not be easy. But
Right.
starting a startup in India is very easy. You can get initial fund at least for 2 to 5 lakhs very easily
Right,
from
sir.
any college. So it's not a problem for starting a startup.
Right. And as an entrepreneur, do you build a company towards like with an end goal in mind, with a very specific end goal in mind, or do you continuously keep iterating with like a grand vision?
I think it should be a grand vision with a continuous iterations for me.
Right.
So I don't have a very specific goal that I want to reach, but we have a very grand vision that we want to build on top of that. So we keep iterating about all of this stuff. It's always I very much believe in iterations very widely.
Right.
So unless you figure out the way to iterate, you are not going to scale yourself. So iterations must be there.
And do you
If you
believe?
stop iterating, you'll stop innovating.
Correct. And do you believe in exit strategies? Like you build a company to a certain level and then you exit?
I think I already said that there is no end for me, so I don't want to exit.
Correct.
If I want to build something which has a grand vision, then what's the meaning of exit? There is no exit
There
strategy.
is no exit.
It's either fail or succeed. That's it.
Correct, sir. Okay, so I think that's all from my side. And thank you for joining today's session.